girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio.
Fasten your seatbelts.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And a real quick housekeeping note, if you're watching us on YouTube or Odyssey or Rumble or BitChute, please hit that follow and subscribe button. And if you're listening to us on Spotify and Google, Apple, whatever podcast platform, please hit that follow and subscribe button so we can continue to bring you conversations like the one I'm bringing you today. We're talking with New York heavy music legend, Tommy Victor of Prong. How you doing, Tommy?
Great, Bill. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, man. Like we were saying before we went live, dude, I've been kind of looking forward to this conversation with you. But usually when I have people on for the first time, I like to get a quick background. So do you remember as a little kid what you originally wanted to be when you grew up?
No, I don't. I think I was a lost child and really didn't have any direction in that regard. So I can tell you that in my high school yearbook, it says I was going to be an accountant. So if that means anything, but it's funny. I asked my kid what he wants to be, and he doesn't know neither. So I had no goals.
And then when was it that kind of music caught your attention and you started playing?
I think when I was in Little League and my batting average was around 270, and I realized sports wasn't the deal. So I started getting into music, and I bought a bass from this kid around the corner. I didn't even play. I just bought it and then started learning. So I guess, yeah, I did have some ambition. That was it. But no, I have older brothers and sisters, so I've been into music since I'm out of the womb, really. There's always records playing and in the house, and it was always like that. So I've been into it for a really long time, since I can remember.
Nice. And what were some of the influences that got you to want to go pick up that bass and start playing yourself?
I think it was Sabbath and Kiss and Deep Purple at that time.
Nice. Yeah. Kiss was my gateway as well.
Yeah.
And then
I played bass, so I was into Gene, so I wanted to play bass because I wanted to get in a band. So within a year, I had learned Strutter and a Deuce, and I was trying to figure out some Zeppelin songs too, and eventually got in a band really young, playing bass in bands with a bunch of older kids. So Kiss. Yeah,
that's what I was going to ask you next. When did you start getting into bands and playing out?
I think it was around age 13. So yeah, it's right the first year in high school.
Gotcha. And then what was the scene like for you growing up? The music scene around you?
Well, it was weird. It was a whole bunch of different scenes because I grew up in Queens, so you have a little bit of the Long Island cover band scene, and there was bands like Rat Race Choir. They were huge. They played Toll covers, and then there was Zebra, who were a big band of it was Zeppelin cover band that later on put on a record of their own original material that was huge. And then Twisted Sister too. So Twisted played Bowie and AC/DC and stuff. So they were around. Then there was bands from the city. If you go in Manhattan, I saw the Ramones and Dead Boys and the punk scene that was going on too. Like Masters Kansas City. A little bit later, there was a group I really liked called this guy called Von Elmo. He was like this insane maniac who used to like destroy the place with. Before Wendy O. Williams, he had a chainsaw and was going nuts. So, yeah, I mean, the whole, CBs was like, the Ramones. So by the time I was 15, I was going down and checking out the Ramones and, again, the Cramps, Dead Boys, that kind of stuff as well. So, when I got out of high school, I wanted to move into Manhattan. So, at that point, I was like dedicated to getting in a band and didn't really go that well. I just said, after a couple of bands that were crap, that I decided I just wanted to be a sound man, and I got, because I was hanging out at CB's, new people there, I got the job as a sound guy there without even really knowing what the hell I was doing. So that's how Prong started.
Nice, because I read that you were a sound guy at CBGBs, and I was curious on how that all came to be for you, and like during your time there, some of the memorable shows that you got to do sound for and experience.
There was a lot of them. There was memorable shows before I started working there that were insane. Like I saw like Suicidal Tendencies there. Then on the other end of the spectrum was like Suicide. This guy Alan Vega, another crazy performance artist / singer. I loved him. Then I did see the Talking Heads years ago. Before that blew my mind. And then when I was working there, I guess a lot of the hardcore bands, I was working the Hardcore Matinee, all that second generation groups too, like from Rest in Pieces, Sick of It All, Judge, AF. I was there. I never really mixed AF. I worked the machine on the Live at CBGBs record because that was recorded there. So I recorded that, but I didn't ever mix them. And then like Crumbsuckers. I mean, there's so many of those bands that were great back then. Then there was shows during the week. I was working night times during the week, and we had like alternative bands coming in there. Soundgarden, Green River, which sort of turned into Pearl Jam, and a slew of the more famous stuff like Living Color and Tom Tom Club. The list goes on. I mean, so many people came through there, so it was great. Like we're exposed to everything every night.
Yeah, it's such an infamous venue, but it sounded like it was like almost like your college courses for getting more involved in music as well.
Yeah, totally. Because I got in there because I was going to this thing called the Institute of Audio Research, and you had to have an internship. So yeah, it was sort of a college thing, but that was the learning thing. I mean, I got in there and learned on the job training, and sort of what Prong was too, because I wasn't really playing guitar. I was playing bass, and Mike, who was the doorman at CB's, just like, oh, I heard from my girlfriend that you play music. I'm like, yeah, I'm dabbling. Now I really want to be a sound guy. And he's like, well, and we agreed on a lot of bands we like anything from Die Kreutzen to Swans and Killing Joke. So we formed a band. He's like, well, why don't you play guitar? I'm like, okay, I'll play guitar. I sort of fumbled around on it, and that's how Prong started.
So mostly like you've been a self-taught musician.
Yes.
And then,
some records from vinyl, I learned on bass, and I just wanted to get in a band, and I learned like tons of stuff. Like I would just sit there with the stylus going back and forth and figuring out anything from Nugent to Kiss to, Yes and Rush and Tull and Sabbath. I mean, I was just addicted to learning songs on the bass, and that's really what was how I started playing. And then I sort of applied that to guitar because I was good at figuring out songs. And so I was figuring out, Master of Puppets by the time I knew it and stuff like that.
Nice. So yeah, so then, you're working at CBGBs, running the sound, kind of being taught there how to do that, as well as self-taught with your instruments. And then Prong gets put together through just hanging out there through networking then.
Yeah, no, I mean, I knew I was on the scene for so long then, because there was bands I was in before Prong, like as a bass player, that went absolutely nowhere. So I knew a lot of people, and I knew Ted Parsons, who was in Swans. Those guys were my friends. So I knew he was into like the new stuff, like anything like he was into Creator and Destruction and Celtic Frost, and then the hardcore stuff too, Bad Brains, and then post-punk stuff, Killing Joke, Sisters of Mercy. He was into all the stuff we were, so he joined the band, and we wrote a record, put it out, was selling it like crazy on Lower Manhattan. Then we got picked up by a British label, and then eventually In Effect Records, so we were on the same label with Agnostic Front, and then we got signed to a major label. So it happened real fast, like from 86 to like 89, like in that whole period there, like a matter of 3 years.
Yeah. And I know for myself, like when I got first introduced to Prong, I mean, obviously like, Headbangers Ball on MTV for me being in Cleveland, but another avenue that got me hip to Prong was ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, when Just Incredible used to come out to snap your finger, snap your neck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that whole scene got me hip, and I would always, that was just one of the main tunes I would always like be jamming, to get pumped up to go to the gym and stuff like that. And I wanted to ask, like, take us back to originally, like when you were writing that song, what was like the inspiration for that for you?
I think it was like I got off the subway, and I was living in Brooklyn at that time, and that lyric was written in like 2 minutes. It was a stream of conscious lyric. I had the idea of the music, so it's just and the vocal melody. So it was just kind of like barking it out. It just happened real fast. So it was like one of those things. So yeah, I mean, it was not that much thought into it. So it was a gift from God, really.
Yeah. Did you expect it to take off as well as it did?
Well, it sort of, because we started playing it before the record came out, and I remember we did this festival in Europe. God, it's just like right when the wall came down. It was like in Leipzig in Germany, and we played that song, and people were going crazy. So without even hearing it before, so that's always a good sign when the record's not out and people are responding well to the song.
Oh yeah, I mean, just that build up alone, it's just like I don't want to get my blood pressure taken as soon as when I'm listening to that,
Yeah, people say, I mean, it's just one of those songs that got it's one of those angry anthems, and I'm always proud of that record and that song because, yeah, I mean, it's still the one that I wish we had 5, 6, 10 more of those that were that popular.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been liking what I'm hearing from the new one that is getting ready to release. It's been like 4 years since your last EP, right? Like Age of Defiance. So this is your 13th studio album, which says how the longevity that Prong has had. But the perfect name for it, the State of Emergency. Like we were talking before we went on, I was just like, yeah, I'm hearing a lot of things that I think the underground movement and people in general need to hear in this song, almost like a metal like Paul Revere.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. The record is half of it. The lyrical content is about the whole Orwellian reality that we live in, where I just see like a big propaganda state that's going on, and then they change history weekly, and it's like you can't even. It's almost comical. Mainstream media. It's just like this joke, So
yeah,
I think at the time of writing the lyrics, I was a little bit now it's gotten to this laughing, like it's almost a laugh. There, I was a little more intense on. It was a little more anger, and I was in a lot of it. But still, I mean, it's annoying what's going on. But
Yeah.
we're talking about. Yeah, I mean, you were talking about the floods. I mean, out in L.A., I was living in California for a while, and I would get the reverse call. Now they're saying, "Oh, are you living in? Are you flooded?" I'm like, I don't see any floods. Like, what are they saying? But out there, it was always the fires in LA. It was like, oh man, God, it's the end of the world. Like, there's so many fires. Every summer, the place was burning down. And like my sister, somebody calling, where are you there? You okay? I'm like, yes. You say this every summer. There's always these fires. So, big media always looking for content and something to blow things out of proportion a little bit. And then the stuff that really needs to be blown out of proportion, they completely ignore. So need the narrative of what they're trying to do, keep people in fear or whatever. Is like that's really what they're trying to do somehow.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of the people that have been pushing for disclosure on life outside of Earth all these years, now they're finally like, putting that out there, and everybody's like, what are you trying to distract me from now?
It's a total distraction.
Yeah. And it's like, what we were talking about with the floods, like everybody that I've messaged, like, Vinny and stuff, like, everything's good. We're fine. And like, you just told me, but I'm seeing all these like, videos on certain pages and stuff. Oh, New York City's like going underwater and, it's just crazy. If you're not there, how easy they can use stuff to manipulate you. There's so much information, disinformation, and misinformation out there. Nobody knows what to believe. So while we're all distracted, who knows what the real shit is going on? I know our economy sucks and we're going downhill fast, and a lot of people are going to be like starving.
Yeah, they're distracting from that reality too. I mean, that's one of the big ones for me is the prices of stuff. And I think going over to Europe in the last couple of years. I mean, we're going over again. We're on tour with Life of Agony in November, but we did one tour with them already, and then Prong did a headliner about a month and a half ago. And it's just like it's so cheap over there. It's like now we always years ago. It's like, oh my God, I'm in like Scandinavia. It's so expensive. It's like America's like the most expensive place in the world now. Like I can have like this multi-course meal in Germany, with. Well, that's just with dessert, and appetizer, and I don't drink. I have like non-alcoholic beers or soda, and it's like 15 euros. Like, what the heck's going on? Like here, you sandwich is $20, so which is 20 euros. Now it's the same thing, €1 in America. So I don't know what's going on over here. It's just insanity.
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, I go down the rabbit hole pretty deep on a lot of things. So it's just like, I don't like where things are headed. But like you were saying, about laughing at it earlier, I know for me, man, you mentioned not drinking either. I'm 14 years sober. And,
oh, cool.
The serenity prayer has been my, got me through 2020. I'll just say that with my head on.
Yeah, I pray for serenity as well. I turn it over. That's what I got to do. Yeah. It's congratulations to sobriety. I'm up there too with you. So, yeah, I mean, thank God I'm not drinking anymore. I'd be completely broke. I mean, people are saying, "Oh, I went out to a bar. I had 2 drinks and spent $60." It's like, oh, you could do that. I mean, I'd rather not.
Yeah, I need that to fill my gas tank so I can travel a little bit. Get out and enjoy things while I can.
Yeah.
But getting back to, I mean, you still like the inspiration with writing this album and everything, it's like you're still getting a message out there. You're utilizing your platform to try and
I mean, what else you can't say some of this stuff in public. So, I mean, you got to watch everything you say because people take it the wrong way too. So, yeah. I mean, being in a band and playing I mean, I'm blessed because I could, get off a lot of steam without, get completely trampled by people. So
canceled
and yeah, I don't even want to say that. I mean, I don't think what I say is deserving of being canceled. It's not quite anything that revolutionary, but
it's more like stating the obvious, like why we're all being distracted. Like you said, this George Orwell world we're living in. That's why I mentioned at the beginning, like all the other platforms that my videos are on, because I've had quite a few taken off of YouTube specifically, because they didn't like some of the things we were talking about.
Oh yeah, I mean it's amazing. I mean, yeah, it's like I was going to say this earlier. It's like everything's all nonsense out there a lot of times. So you might as well just have everything, no censorship, other than like crazy porn stuff. But like who's to decide what's true anymore? Like you can't even you can't leave it up to these to big tech, because they're just going to go with their own agenda. You just have to let everything go, and people are going to have to figure it out for themselves. I mean, what else are you going to do? Otherwise, it's going to be manipulated by whoever. It's all about what they're going to sell, what they want to sell to you. So, obviously, as I was saying, I mean, that's not obvious to everybody, but they're trying to sell complete globalism, which is one economy, one money, everyone the same, and everyone's just got to shut up. They're just trying to control the whole world. That seems to be what the agenda is, and they want it fast. They're not willing to wait. They want it to happen pretty quickly. So let's wait for the next thing that happens now.
Yeah, before it was like Agenda 2030 or something, and then it's like, we got to put the gas on the pedal because too many people are waking up with this internet,
Well,
so like I said,
AI coming, man, it's like anything they fit into that is going to be what reality is. So who knows?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I had a buddy on, talking about AI the one time, and it's just like, it's almost like, it didn't like, the whole like Skynet and Terminator kind of start out with that type story. So how's this going to turn around and bite us in the ass? Where's John Connor when we need him?
No, I mean, sci-fi is going to be, it's reality. It's all, I mean, how much, most of it's come to take place already now, with, when I was a kid, the idea of having these kind of devices, smartphones, was incomprehensible when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Just have no idea like that it would be like this.
Yeah, any conversation I used to have in the kitchen with somebody, if we were plotting something that was suspect, I could only go as far away from my parents that the cord would let me.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's like we had one phone of between 7 people in the house. So yeah,
it's like, where are you planning to go with all that toilet paper and that carton of eggs? Nope. But that that was how bad we were back in the day. Now it's just like, it's crazy, man. We're living in the Wild West with technology.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's a shame.
But, I mean, speaking of where we're headed, as a country and the message getting out, like Breaking Point, that song definitely was like speaking to me lyrically, as I was saying earlier, I've expressed my views on this podcast, and I've been censored by YouTube and some of the other platforms. And it's like, critical thinking bad, cancel free thought. When is enough for everyone, and to quit being distracted by all the bread and circuses out there. Uh-oh.
So, Mike, did I lose you now? Oh, here we go. Yeah, there's certain realities that I think that are instinctually that we know, and we have to somehow discard them now. So that's really what that song is. But on a different note too, is like when Prong went out on tour with Black Label Society and Obituary at the tail end of the pandemic, and I just saw how crazy people were. Like, it was just like, in California, it took 2 hours for people to show their vax cards to get into these gigs. And then they just went nuts after that. It was like ripping their masks off. People were drinking like crazy, just taking all kinds of drugs. Like, it was just insanity. Like, the whole tour, like, people were I've never seen it. There was really a breaking point. You know, that sort of ties in with the lyric too, where, like people naturally are gonna say enough is enough, and you know, it's almost a positive thing, and where I think that it's going to get to that point again with all this stuff where we're going to go, you know what, man, we're not buying it. Especially Americans are just not going to buy into a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for too. It's like it almost going back to like recovery. Everybody has to hit a different bottom before they're like, all right, enough's enough. I'm ready to make some changes and stand up. And I was just like watching our society, like, during that whole pandemic thing we were dealing with. And I'm like, wait a minute, man, this, and this doesn't make sense to me. But all the people that were following along, I'm like, okay, how low are you guys willing to go? And how much are you willing to give up? Because that's the litmus test, how much are you willing to give up, and how much are you able to ever get back when you give it up?
Yeah. I mean, especially being in California, it was crazy. It was curfews, and I mean, the way people were reacting was nutso. It was like, I was laughing about it now. I mean, I was jogging, even I started just going out again, and it was beautiful weather out, and there's people with like visors and masks, and like, if I would be running down the street, they'd be running across the street just to get away from me. It's like, I mean, there was no way it could possibly be that bad, So anyway, we've all been through it already, and hopefully it doesn't come back where, it's just complete insanity again.
Yeah. I mean, that dude that was running California seems like the guy that they're trying to push now for, the big house.
I know
too. So it's like I definitely don't want Patrick Bateman, American Psycho, in the White House.
Yeah, I mean, they're pushing. It's craziness out there. I mean, but people like them. They want them, So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But back to the album, I really I liked, at the end you threw in the cover of Working Man by Rush. What inspired you to cover that and add that on there?
Well, I got into listening to the old records that when I started, like you mentioned, like what stuff I was into when I was a kid, and like Sabbath, and this first Rush record was one of them. So I started listening to it again. I'm like, wow, this riff is so cool. It's like this. It's an early Doom riff, and I was practicing with the C# Tony Iommi tuning, and I was learning like the Volume 4 record, and then I started playing that riff. I'm like, wow, this sounds so heavy, and it's slow. So we jammed on it, and we're like, oh, this is killer, and do a little arrangement about it and recorded it, and then made it on the record. So that's pretty much it. I like the lyric too. It's like this lyric is perfect. It fits.
Yeah.
Like the song "The Descent" is the opening song that's on our new Prong record. It's like a narrative. This one guy he almost sounds like you. It's like he's like, oh my God, like social media is driving me crazy, and the whole world is just sinking around me, and it's whole descent, this decline of a civilization. So Working Man's a little less extreme. As this guy's like, I'm working, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, what they tell me to do, and I'm like, I'm going nowhere, like I'm just like lost. So
yeah, just getting by to feed somebody else, basically. Yeah.
So I thought it applied to the lyrics on the record a lot.
No, and I like the I like the Prong sound to it, added to it. It's definitely I mean, it's a great classic song, but I love what you did with it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, I'm really happy with it. Tuning it down, and again, then there's like a sort of a thrash part in the middle, so it came out pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. And so the new album, State of Emergency, is out Friday, October 6th. Like for fans that want to, can they order early or when they want to, when it does come out, where can they go to pick up hard copies if they want them?
Well, you can order it now Napalm Records, napalmrecords.com. It's up there. They're the umbrella company of Steamhammer Records. You can go on their website, and SBV. But that's mostly for Europe. So Napalm Records here, and then I'll be on like all the streaming, and then Record Stores Ohio. We're doing an in-store here in Patchogue, Long Island, on the release day, and we're playing a couple of songs too. So if you're on the island or in the city, come on out. 6 o'clock.
Nice. And you don't need a boat to get there.
No, Long Island Railroad is still working, man. So you can come on out. Record stop in Patchogue, Babylon line, I think, and then it's going to be available everywhere, online, etc. So, but
Nice.
we have Manic merch too. That I think they're selling it, which is our merch company. So just go to prongmusic.com or we'll find.
Nice. Yeah, and then like real quick too, I wanted to talk a little bit about I just saw you in town in Cleveland with Danzig.
Okay, yeah.
Just got off on the tour with Danzig, and it was cool because you had Midnight, a Cleveland act, on tour with you guys. Really love what those guys are doing. And then first time seeing Twin Temple, that was different for me. That was entertaining. But you guys, it was great, man. It was great show, great seeing you. What was I know you've been working with Glenn for a long time. How's that relationship come together, and how long's that? How's that grown?
It's like, I mean, he's this iconic figure. He's like, you're playing with like this great. I mean, he's one of the all-time greats. And I mean, what can you say about that? It's humbling that I'm still able to play with him. I mean, he's what can you say about Glen Danzig? Really,
yeah.
It's amazing. So.
It was a great show. It was a great bill, all top to bottom. But that it was good to see him out there still doing his thing. Yeah,
that's a great venue too. That Masonic Hall. We had a good time there. It was really cool. Just a great. The tour really went over well. It really was a good one. And all the bands were cool. Behemoth too. So, but back to Glenn. No, I mean like. I really liked the gig. It was very challenging for me, again, because I got to, especially doing the old songs, I got to, the great old ones, Danzig songs, I got to emulate John Christ's guitar playing, and that's always a challenge. And I try to get real tight with the rhythms, and it's the songs that have a lot of repetition in them, but it's just getting those guitar parts tight like throughout the whole set. So. Every night's a challenge. I'm always like a little nervous doing it, so it's it keeps me on my toes for sure.
Yeah, you pulled it off, man. It was good. And you've been working with them now. I mean, you weren't on the older stuff, but like when did you start recording at all with them?
Yeah, from Circle of Snakes on I'm on all the subsequent records of that. So Black Laden Crown was the last one. I'm on the Elvis Danzig record, and then I'm on the Death Red Moon. What is it? Death Red Sabbath record. God, I forgot. Yeah, so I'm on like 5 Danzig records.
Nice.
Yeah, Skeletons too. I forgot that too.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah. So you've got a pretty solid relationship with them, and like you said, what an iconic figure to be able to get in there with. Did you ever, like back in the CB days, did you ever see like the Misfits and stuff come through?
No, but they were a little bigger. Like they played, they were started out as a Max's Kansas City band, and then he being smart as they were, they would do, because they did a couple of Rock Hotel shows. Then they would sort of go to these like these other halls that they would play, and then I saw them at the Ritz, and then a couple of weird venues here and there. But they didn't overexpose themselves. They were smart about what gigs they would do, and I mean I saw them a bunch of times. I think this was like during the Walk Among Us period, Earth AD, with Doyle, and that's when I started really getting into them.
Nice. And then, I mean, just that first interaction and first meeting him and getting to actually start playing with him had to be, special then.
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird period though for music back then. Like I came right in before the fifth record came out, which is not a very popular record. It's sort of an industrial record. So, it was that whole period. Like no one knew really what was happening, and like metal was sort of in a weird spot. So, we collectively we didn't know where the whole thing was going. Now it's like a complete legacy thing. I enjoy it more where those records, those first three are the standard Danzig records, and I enjoy playing those a lot. And Glenn is smart enough to go, yeah, let's focus on those. Like did the 30th anniversary of the first record. It's all good.
Yeah. Like I said, real good show, man.
Thanks.
And you mentioned industrial. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that you've also got to play with Uncle Al in Ministry. How did that come together for you?
Well, he gave me a call, and like I guess I'm saying who I think Skasha. No, he saw me at a Prong gig, and then he's like, "Oh man, I love you guys. I'm gonna try to get you to play with Ministry." And I'm like, "Yeah, man. I mean, I'd be into it." And then Al called me, and I just started doing it. Like they needed somebody to help work on this album, and it was just craziness. All the stories you've heard about Al are pretty much true. So it's absolute insanity all the time, craziness.
Gotcha.
Now it's mellowed out a little bit. I mean, I know like a lot of my close friends are playing in, the new incarnation of Ministry that's out now, and they say he's really mellowed out a lot. So that's good. It's not sober but.
Yeah, I saw them last time they came through the Cleveland Agora, and I didn't get to see the dates yet, but they just released dates for 2024 for Ministry.
Wow.
So I gotta look at that. Now see if they're coming back through Cleveland, because he has Gary Newman and Frontline Assembly, and I think they were on the last tour, and I really enjoyed Gary Newman and stuff too during that. So I'll have to try and catch that again.
Cool.
But I see you had to plug your device in. I don't want to keep you too much longer.
Yeah, I was planning to use the iPad, but I don't know what happened, but I somehow my phone.
Yeah, no problem. But before I let you go, I want to ask you a couple questions I normally ask my guests.
Sure.
Who are well, here's one I think you'll enjoy. What class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school today?
Wow. Yeah, you may not like this, but no, I can't say that one.
Oh.
I would say American history would have to be the one,
Yeah, the unedited, unfiltered version.
Yeah, but you're not going to get that.
I mean, ugliness and all, we need to know our history so we don't repeat it,
They do not. It's been completely adjusted to fit a narrative now.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I don't think it was. I have three kids. But I got two younger ones, and my wife is pretty adamant about sending them to private school, or so we're not going. We're going to go the public school route.
Good for you, man. I've had some other musicians on here, like Elias from Nonpoint, homeschools his kids.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. It's a lot more difficult than it seems, though. But we've been thinking about it as well.
Yeah, but I mean, it just shows the awareness and the state of
I know
what we're in.
Exactly.
Now.
That's what I say. I mean, people to go that route, and there's a lot of people that have hit the breaking point and just had it.
Exactly. And then, who are three people who've inspired you and you can credit for making you the person you are today?
I would say my older brother is one of them. because he got me into music, to like the stuff that initiated me. And that's why I always tell him, I go, it's your fault, because there's been a lot of ups and downs in my career and my personal life. I was like, always blame him. He's like, yeah, whatever, because he was inflicting Jimi Hendrix Experience on me, and Vanilla Fudge and Iron Butterfly and Cream at an early age. So like him. Another person, I guess, would be my wife. She's been very supportive, and let's be real. Let's say Bill Wilson on top of it on third.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, next time you come through town, man, if you get time, we should connect. I've taken a lot of guys down to Dr. Bob's.
That's right. It's by
Akron.
you, in Akron or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man.
And then any causes or organizations that you support and encourage others to check out?
I think it's Wounded Warriors is one of them, and then that's the one that I did on my for birthday. So yeah, I mean, any veterans thing is in my ballpark.
Awesome. And then favorite, we were talking about kids earlier and stuff. What was your favorite toy as a child?
A box of crayons, really. That was that's almost all I really had. My brother was kidding me. We had this cigar box of crayons, and I really didn't have anything, and some paper.
Nice. I had the same thing. I remember the cigar box being reused for holding all my broken crayons and stuff, and find my colors, and imagination back then.
Exactly. That's all I needed, really.
And then speaking of our military members, any message that you have for our members currently serving overseas?
Well, thank you for your service, and get back safely, and keep up the good work.
Awesome. Tommy, man, I really appreciate the time in this conversation, man.
Thanks,
it was good.
Bill. Appreciate it, man.
Talking with you and getting to know you better, and good to hear that we're walking a similar path.
Yeah, man.
If people are new to hearing about you and want to check out like what you're up to, where would you send them?
The Spotify, or Pandora, one of the streaming services, and you can check out all the stuff, man. Like the new record, the singles are out now, so we have a new lyric video coming out any second now for the State of Emergency, the title track. But there's an official video for the Descent. There's a Breaking Point lyric video, a Non-Existence lyric video. So go to YouTube and just say Prong lyric video, and then you can hear everything up there too as well. So go and do it right now.
Awesome. Sounds good. And then one last favor before I let you go, or the battery dies. You mind cutting a promo ID for the show? Just introduce yourself, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Hey, this is Tommy Victor from Prong, and you're listening to today's. Let me do it one more time. This thing just popped up. Hey, this is Tommy Victor from Prong, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Awesome. Tommy, thank you so much, man. It was really great talking with you.
I'll see you in Cleveland next time, bro.
Sounds good.
Okay, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye.